Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this beautiful mossy forest with lots of ferns and how to use a fan brush and paint trees and use complementary colors. I hope you guys are inspired and motivated by my videos I've been posting lately, and remember to hit subscribe if you want to see more. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment letting me know what you want to see me paint next. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take this big brush, get it a little bit wet. Pick up some neon yellow and start creating a soft circle in the center of the canvas. I'm going to leave just a little space here, white. That's where the sun is. Okay, now I'm going to take some light green, come around the edges, start pulling in gently to that yellow. Don't go over the yellow too much. You just want to meet up to it and softly blend the two together. Taking a small mop brush and I'm going to dip it in a little bit of titanium white and a little bit of yellow. Softly tap the two together. You just want to use the very tip of your brush. We're just going to soften . Sorry, I've got a new puppy and she's playing with her new toy. You want to say hi, Tilly? This is Tilly, our new Pomchi. Yellow. Lightly kind of dusting around or scumbling, just to create little soft pockets of light in and around the trees, behind the trees. So I think I'm just going to add a little bit more in here and take just a little bit more. And now I'm going to come in where the path is going to start. So this is in the distance. We're creating some bushes way back here. I think I'm going to need a little bit more white for this to show up. So tapping lightly. And then small little circles just to gently blend and soften all those edges. Maybe a little bit more up here. A little bit more yellow. Very noisy easel. Dip the very end of the brush in deep purple and sap green. So this is the background. We're just going to tap. Tap in some branches here. So I've said in the past in my other videos, I really try not to use black if I don't have to. I just don't like the way black dries. It almost looks faded once it dries. I don't know why that is, but I like to use deep purple, dark green, maybe red, blue. In this case, we're using, for our darkest color, we're using purple and sap green, and you can see it's really dark. Tap a little bit down here on the right side, a little over here, down on here. So this is a medium-sized filbert brush, and everyone's asking me what my favorite brand of brushes are, and I really like Galleria or Winsor & Newton. Okay, so now we're just going to tap over part of this, softening the edges, kind of scumbling and tapping. You can do so much with a filbert brush. You can tap, pull, flick to create branches. Very lightly come in from the bottom corner here and pull in, scumble in a few little lines. They get shorter as they go back off into the distance so we can create perspective, helping to make it look farther away. Now I want to show you guys how we can make branches and leaves with a fan brush. So I've just got a mini fan brush here. I'm not going to get it wet first. I'm going to take sap green and purple again, mix it up. You want to load the entire brush, both sides. And so we're going to tap side to side. I'm just going over what I've already got here to change it up and add some different types of leaves and branches. So I'm going to tap over part of this dark purple to highlight it and add some more tones. And then if I get my brush just a little bit wet now, you can lightly pull, put your brush, use the very tip, place it on one of the branches and lightly pull and flick. Short little flicks. Just to create some of those branches. Now I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. So the light green and the sap green, really lightly tap in. Lightly pulling and flicking. Maybe we'll just have a little bit of a bigger one right here. Bit of a big blob right there I've got to soften. Okay, now I'm taking a big mop brush, the largest one I've got, and I'm going to dip it in. Tap, you just want to tap the end of your brush in the paint. Don't get your brush wet first. I've got some emerald green, yellow. So there's hardly any paint. Oops, I just got magenta on there. That's not good. Okay, let's try that again. So emerald green and neon yellow, and we're going to tap in really lightly. In kind of soft circles, just to get some more shades of green going on. This is a cool yellow and green. So it's got, that means it's got a bit of a blue tone to it. Okay, so really lightly. I'm not using a lot of paint at all. It's easier to add more than to go back and take it off. We'll just add little bits in here. So tapping and then some small circles. Added some bright yellow back here. That sunlight is hitting all the bushes and trees back there. making it really glow and pop out. We'll just tap a little here. So these are highlights that I'm adding. Wherever you have one of these dark shadow lines, you're going to place your highlight right above it and slightly on top of it. So to do this, you'll need the filbert brush, you'll need neon yellow and titanium white. Because remember, it's going to dry darker. So to save yourself a few steps, add some white to it. So tap, you just want to use, when you're using the filbert brush, just use the very tip of it, end of it. Another one here. And a little bit in there. Now we're going to come in with our trees. So I washed my filbert brush off. I'm going to dip it in bright neon red, my favorite color of Holbein Luminous. Start at the top. And then turning my brush sideways to make a skinnier one. So this one's behind, so it's going to be shorter. It's going to start up above a little bit here. And so let's put another one back here. I'll just have a little line here and then pull up. Try to do this all in one stroke. And let's do one more on this side. Maybe this one's even further away, so we'll start this one right back there. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit more there. Now let's start on the other side. So let's put one right here. Grab a little bit more paint. And let's put another one right here. I want this one to be slightly bent. Just helps to add character to your paintings. Another one right there. Let's do another one right here. Now this time I'm adding a little bit of white to the red. These ones are farther away. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let those trees dry off a little bit and pick up some more neon red. We're gonna start our path at the back here, right where we have the brightest yellow. So short little flicks side to side. I'm gonna pull in between these two dark lines, I'm gonna pull in. So back and forth, side to side, carefully with your brush. So I'm pulling a lot of red over on the left. Washing my brush off, I'm going to take some neon violet and I'm going to slightly paint around the edges of each tree. So you're lining your brush up partway on the red and just on the edge. We don't want to make the trees any wider. We just want to add another color for shadow. And on this side, the exact same thing. Let's add a little bit to our path now. So you can go over carefully part of the red. I want a little bit more dark green shadow down here, so I just picked up some more of that sap green. I'm just going to pull up and flick. So maybe there's some moss that is starting to come over top of part of the path. So we'll just add that there. Start to add little flicks of sap green where we're going to come in with our ferns pretty soon. And under each tree, a little bit of that sap green. Now I've put a bit too much on, I'm going to have to soften that. I'm just taking the light green and tapping really carefully at the base of the tree and around it, just to make it look like those trees have been there a long time and there's so much growth around them. You don't want it to look like your trees are just floating. We want to take light violet blue. If you don't have this color, you can just mix cobalt blue and titanium white and you'll get the same color. We want to use a small flat brush, get it a little bit wet, dry it off. Pick up some of that pretty blue, and to make this pop out even more, so pretty. Love this blue. I'm just taking a little bit of the green and I'm going to lightly pull it over top of this hot pink one in the distance, just to make it look a little bit farther away. So I've got this really long one that I'm going to be using for branches. So get it wet and dip it in red and a little bit of sap green. So the liner brush can be a little bit tricky to use. You need to have a lot of patience. Just keep going back for more water. Don't push hard. I'm kind of doing this. I wiggle the brush around and lightly drag to get that natural branch look. I'm going to come up from the top. Add some here. Use a little bit more red than green on this side. Back for some more water because it's just not flowing as nicely as it should. So yeah, if your paint is not flowing nicely and easily, don't go back for more paint. Try a bit of water first. That usually does the trick. So again, I'm just going to tap and then lightly flick. Hope you guys can see that. Let's tap in here. Maybe some over here, so just really lightly. Okay, I'm just going to add a few more branches on this side. Again, sap green and red. Notice how I'm going over top of some of those trees. Very lightly, put a couple up here. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush off. Make sure all that green and red is out of there. It's nice and clean. Using the liner brush again. Take some blue violet. And just going to pull around a few little blue branches now. Looks really pretty. Now we're going to go back to the mini fan brush. Sap green and viridian green. Light little taps. Just adding, building up the layers, adding more foliage. We're going to soften this a little bit pretty soon with the mop brush. Now if you accidentally go over your hanging moss a bit too much like I just did, you can use this to create the moss too. So easy. You can use the liner brush for the branches if you want. I'm just putting a little bit of water on my brush and light green and pulling some lighter branches, tapping in some little bushes just to set those trees back there a little bit more. Pull up slightly with your brush now. Gives a suggestion that there's moss growing on the trees. Okay, and I just want to take a little bit of the yellow little circles. You don't want to pull off all the paint you just added, but you want to soften this. It makes such a difference just doing that. We've got more of a mood happening in our painting. I'm picking up a little bit of turquoise. I'm going to lightly pull in a little bit here. I'm going to do a line and I'm going to tap. Little taps indicating the suggestion of some ferns. Maybe a little bit in here, not too much. And the other side, maybe we'll add a little bit right there. Some tapping. The filbert brush again, it's clean. Picking up quite a bit of that neon yellow. I'm just gonna move this out of the way but so you guys can see. And I'm gonna flick up. So this is creating a bank. So we're pulling up in that direction. When we do that, it looks like it's growing up on a little bank against those trees. And again on this side, maybe some back in here. Ready to get started on our ferns, and then we're going to be finished this painting. I want you to find the smallest filbert brush that you can. Get it wet, and we're going to pick up white and light green and neon yellow. So I'm going to start sweeping out little arches. Looks like a palm tree right now. Load up the tip of your brush, and now you're not going to pull, you're just going to tap. So on either side of this line, tap, 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 tap. I need more paint. Do the same thing to the other side. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to bring this up really close so you guys can see better. So now I'm going to do another one. I'm just going to lightly go over that again. Tap, 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 tap. I find the quicker I do it, the easier it is. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I'm just going to keep adding, dabbing, loading up my brush each time. So what happens as you're painting it, you lose the shape, so you really need to kind of pinch the tip like that to give it almost a little bit of a fan shape. So I'm going to put one right here. Oh, I have to load my brush up again. Tap, tap. And tap along, follow that curve. So your little leaves will change direction and curve with that line. Now maybe I'll do one right down here. gonna keep adding more and more. As they get farther away, they're gonna be smaller, right? You've got to remember that if you want it to, the perspective to be correct. Now you can add some darker ones too. If you have a really light area, then the light paint won't show up, so you can do some darker ones. Be brave with your color, experiment. Maybe one that comes right down here. Grab a few more here. They're going to get smaller now. I just want to do a little bit more foliage back here. So neon yellow and white with your filbert brush, and really just carefully tap lightly the base of the tree and slightly up. I just took some purple and some turquoise, mix it up carefully, and I'm gonna add some shadow, just a bit more color down here. Maybe a bit down in here. Just a little bit right up there. So I'm just adding some more purple, the violet purple. Okay, well, we're all finished, you guys. Thanks again for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, comment. Thanks again. See you next time.